and just say, well, hi, welcome. It's really nice to be speaking to Adam, Ashe, and Grayson. Oh, Grayson, I've just had a momentary lapse on your second.
Grayson Hart, H-A-R.
Yeah, it is great. Sorry, I just had that thing, even though I know what it is. Anyway, I'm really delighted that you've both taken the time to join me today, and just to talk a little bit about what you're doing, and how you came across the three principles, and where you see yourself going next with it. And just before I hand it over to you, just to give a little bit of background, we met at the end of last year when Adam contacted me. I think you'd come across my website. You were already into the principles, and I discovered there was somebody else fairly close by. And I really enjoyed meeting both of you. I thought your energy is great, and it's so interesting and exciting to hear what you're doing in your field, which is professional sport, and beyond that. And no doubt you're going to talk more about that. So it's been lovely to get to know you both a bit, and I'm hoping that in this conversation we're going to get to know you a bit more. So I guess my first question would be for each of you is, how did you first come across the principles? What was happening before, and how did you come into it?
Well, kick us off.
Kick us off, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Firstly, I'll just quickly say, and we've absolutely loved connecting with you, Christian.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the coolest things about the principles is just the connection you have with people, from all different backgrounds, and you don't have to hang out with young people your own age at the pub and be getting pissed to have a good time. Like I've had absolutely amazing times,
with older people like me.
Like just sitting and having a cup of coffee and having a chat, and just really connecting with all different people. It's amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm the same, by the way. It's been fantastic to get to know you, Christian, and it's funny how things have kind of shaped up. Nowadays, one of my favourite things to do is just to sit and have a nice conversation with someone over a coffee, and how that's changed over the years. So it's been brilliant. But yeah, I'll kick us off. So how did I first come across the principles? Must have been about a year ago, 9 months or a year ago now. I remember one morning I woke up and felt particularly shitty. I think I'd been out the night before, was a little bit hungover, and we'd been beating a rugby game, and that's what Grayson and I do as a profession. We're rugby players. So woke up, and I can remember going on Google and typing in books that make you feel better. As, I was aware that there were a lot of self-help books out there and whatnot, and so anyway, went and typed that into Google, and it was really quite luckily the first book that popped up was Jamie Smart's book Clarity, and I got myself stuck into that, and I think I must have got through that within a few days, and I had never really been one for reading books, or I think, to be honest with you, I actually downloaded that book onto my Kindle, which I'd had for 3 or 4 years, and that the Kindle had only had one other book on it, so that was the second book I'd got on the Kindle. So yeah, I read Jamie's book, and it just felt different, There was something about the words that just had a different effect on me when I was reading it. I felt a little bit quieter, and I had been previously introduced to all your sort of psychology work and positive thinking and visualization and whatnot, and this just seemed like it was down a different path, and it really had quite an effect on me. I instantly felt different, a little bit different, but I wasn't quite sure what had happened. And anyway, I read the book, and I left it at that for a few months, and kind of got on with things, and my life was pretty much the same. There was no dramatic insights or anything, kind of just continued on with things and on the rugby field and whatnot. And I can remember there was this one day, which must have been about it must have been about 6 months ago now. Yeah, 6 or 7 months ago now. I came home from training and I was sitting on the sofa, and for some reason or another, I was looking through Jamie Smart's website, and I came across Garrett Kramer's website, which was kind of on a link, I think, at the top of Jamie's website, and I went on and clicked on to, must have been the first video that I seen on there, and I kind of just sitting watching the video, and I wasn't even aware that anything had really happened, but after watching the video, I just felt different. You know, it was like some sort of new life had come through me, and I can remember I coach a rugby team as well, and I was going out to coach the team that night, and I can remember just experiencing this clear state of mind and this amazing feeling. I just felt so alive. It was like nothing I'd really ever experienced before. And I went to coach, and I was kind of speaking to the guys, and it was all flowing out of me like effortlessly, and it was just the weirdest thing I'd ever experienced. It was so strange. And then I came back from coaching that night and was just in the highest of spirits. And I remember watching the video again, because I was thinking, oh, that video must have had something in it that's made me feel different. I watched that again, and then I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and I'd never felt so good waking up first thing in the morning. I'd kind of just opened my eyes, and it was like, right, let's get up, let's get into the day. It was like, it was so strange. And I remember, I think Grayson and I, we started this book club at the rugby team we play at, and I can remember there was maybe 10 or 12 of us at the book club that day, and that was just in the same morning when I woke up and had been feeling different. And I remember sitting down, and we were talking about this earlier actually, I remember sitting down and just saying to everybody, I was like, I watched this video last night, and I just feel great. I feel different, you know. I just feel like I'm just, it was almost like there was just a light coming through me. It was just like a lighter feeling about things, and it was just amazing. And everyone was kind of looking at me like, oh, like what kind of video was it? Was it some kind of like, I don't know, I said to Grayson earlier, like some sort of animals running free in the wild, and I just had this epiphany, and I was like, oh no, it was just a video of a guy speaking. I don't know if anyone else will find this interesting, but the people had asked me to kind of send the link on and whatnot, and anyway, so I'd been feeling great for a few days, and I remember emailing Garrett and kind of saying to him, you know, like, something happened to me, something in your words sparked something inside me. And we had a Skype conversation, and Garrett kind of explained the whole outside in on this hand, inside out another hand, and how, you know, I probably had a little leap along the spectrum, and life can look differently when that happens. And from then onwards, I've just really, really been amazed at how my life has changed in so many ways, and my relationships, and work life and personal life, and it's really, you know, we speak about this a lot, Grayson and I. It's an absolute gift for this to come about. You know, it's when I think to how life used to be, and it wasn't that it was bad in any way, but it was just different, and for how it is now, and some of the areas that I've seen this unfold in, like my relationship, has just become anything beyond what I could ever have imagined a relationship with my girlfriend to be like. And it's just truly amazing stuff, and I'm extremely grateful to have come across this, and you know, as time's unfolding, it's getting deeper and deeper, and now we're both beginning to share this with people, and we're connecting with people within the community, and trying to grow this. But it's truly, truly profound work, and it has literally completely changed my life. So yeah, that's how I would answer your question. It's truly amazing stuff.
Oh, lovely. And of course, now I'll need to get that link from you to Garrett's video, because anybody watching this, I want to see that too.
I said that to quite a few people.
But not that I'm suggesting that the answer lies in him anymore. That that each of us has that capacity to connect with the essence and to touch other people. But thank you. That was lovely, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Christian.
So what about you, Grayson? How did you come
to see that unfold in Adam, and just the shift in energy, like I saw it and felt it, and it's been amazing, and it's been cool to be around and be a part of it. It's been cool. Is it on to my story?
You take us away.
Yes, So yes, tell us a bit about you and how you stumbled into this world.
Once upon a time. So I think for me, about when I was 21 years old, my dad passed away, and I mainly grew up with my dad most of the time, and as a kid, it was sort of, I used to have these sort of ideas in my head that would be like my worst nightmare if my dad passed away, and I just would think, I don't know what I'll do, and when I was 21, he passed away from cancer, and to be honest, I thought I was handling it like really well. Like I was like surprised that I wasn't sort of breaking down with distraught sadness and distress and all that. I thought I was handling it really well, but what I didn't realize, I think I was definitely sort of suppressing my feelings, and I was feeling low, but and I was looking for a lot of things outside of me to sort of compensate and make my to look forward to those things in the hope that they'd make me feel good. Just the classic outside in direction. And I was sort of justifying all my behaviors in my head, because I was like, it's okay though, because this is the worst thing that could have ever happened, so you can carry on like this, it's fine. And then at the same time, I was also, because I was out drinking a lot, I was gambling, I was angry, I was very angry, I was like getting into fights a lot when I was out drinking and stuff like that. Just struggling like with my relationships with my family, and I was sort of justifying it all to myself a lot, and one day, and I was really, really close with my older brother Khan. He's 3 years older than me, and we were living together at the time, and he was always on my case, sort of saying, and because I was a young professional rugby player, I had amazing opportunities like ahead, and I was doing quite well with my rugby career, and he was on my case a lot, saying, you're ruining your opportunity, what are you doing? Like he'd hear I'd get into another fight, or he'd see me drinking on like a Wednesday night if I had training on the Thursday, and and he could just tell that I wasn't in a good place, but I was in denial about all that, and I had some fun times out partying and doing all that, but none of it was really worth it, and none of it was sort of coming from a good place, if you know what I mean. It was just an escape really from that sort of low, that down feeling. And I think one day, like I just woke up, and I'd gone into arguments for this, and it carried on for probably like a year and a half, and I'd constantly getting into arguments, telling my brother to get off my back and leave me alone, or you're a loser or whatever. And I think one day I woke up, I probably hungover. I think I'd probably had a fight the night before, something like that. And I went to my brother, and something just within me just came through. Like the truth, it was always there, but the way I was living was not right, And finally, I accepted it, and I said to myself, "You're right. Like I need to do something. I need to do something different. I need to somehow find a way to change." And at the time, he was working at another professional sports team in New Zealand, and they actually within their club had a man who helped players deal with things like alcohol and gambling and all that sort of off-field stuff, and come to a better understanding of all of that. And I got put in touch with him. His name was Trevor Grice. He actually runs a organisation in New Zealand called the Life Education Trust, and it's about educating young school kids on, like, you know, alcohol and drugs, and sort of the, I guess the misunderstanding of where the development of getting into all that comes from. And I actually got put in touch with him, and I went and stayed with him for a few days. And to be honest, I don't really remember what he was, the exact things that he was saying to me, but he was sort of just describing, and he's not a Three Principles coach or facilitator or anything, but he definitely had a very spiritual outlook on things. And he was sort of just describing to me where my misunderstanding of turning to alcohol and you know, sort of looking to that as a way to fill a void, and how it really is, you know, just that short boost of ego, and you know, you're creating a cycle because you're chasing that, you know, you're chasing the sort of illusion. But there was, you know, everything he was saying to me was sort of sinking in, because I think definitely there was the time that, because I was open to hearing it, I felt a shift coming within me. And there was this one day, we weren't even chatting about anything in particular. We were just in his house, and we're in his family's home, and it's been a lovely family. And he just said to me, he's like, you know, like, Grayson, do you know what God is? Or I can't remember the exact question, or something along those lines. And I'd gone to a school. The school I went to was Anglican, and I hadn't really got too involved in the sort of religious side of things. But I, you know, as a little kid, from as far as I can even remember, I used to like pray to God before bed. I'd, you know, just say, "Oh, please look after my family. Please." Like I'd make sure I like listed everyone. I'd be like, "Please look after my mom, my dad." Amen. And then I'll be like, "Oh wait, I forgot." Oh, and my sister, like, so I had something that I believed in something, but you know, I don't know what it was. And I guess I had all these preconceived sort of ideas through, you know, religion and stuff like that. And he just said to me, it was really simple, but something within me really shifted. He said, "Grayson, do you know what God is?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't really know." No. And he said, take all the religions aside, what God really is. God is love. You know, anytime there's love, that's God. Like, and love is within everyone, no matter what your circumstance or situation. And something within that he said, like, just like a light bulb went off within me, you know. And from that moment, I started to sort of see things differently, and I didn't really know what had happened, but I went home from there with like a complete different outlook on life, and I didn't know what had really happened, and I didn't want to drink anymore, and I just had like somehow just like a sort of deeper understanding. Like I just felt more peaceful, and I didn't need to go out and be seen, or I didn't need to be doing things to make me feel good. I could just relax and feel good, and I started to sort of cut some ties with some of the relationships with people that I had that were sort of, you know, not really healthy and stuff like that. And that sort of carried on for probably about a year or so. I didn't drink, or I was living like really nicely, and I still didn't really understand what's going on. And I think after a while that sort of faded, and I kind of, I guess, in a way, I maybe got into a sort of pursuit of where that feeling had come from, and I got involved, like, you know, just reading different books within the sort of self-help and all that sort of stuff. And you know, a lot of these books point to maybe tactics or rituals and all that have worked for these particular individuals, but they're not, you know, sort of the constant truth. They're not for everyone. So I sort of got caught in that sort of misunderstanding of pursuing that feeling or that peace. So I wasn't quite sure how it had arisen. And then I stumbled across a book called The Power of Now. And something within that book resonated within me, you know, just the sort of that spiritual understanding of sort of more looking within, and the present moment is where the truth lies and stuff like that. And that really resonated with me, but I still wasn't quite sure where it was coming from, like very clearly. So it's kind of fade in and out of that, and I still was in that sort of outward pursuit, like thinking, oh, maybe it was things like meditation and that sort of bring you this peace that you feel sometimes, and sometimes you don't. And then, like this sort of went on for a fair while, and I think Adam sort of had I guess noticed some differences within me, I guess, or maybe some of my behaviors or outlooks or views or whatever, and this was just at the time where Adam had stumbled across the principles, and and we just sort of connected, and we'd have discussions, and we just came off the idea to start a podcast together, and just before this idea for the podcast, I'd always known, since my life had shifted, like truly taken a shift for the better, that I really wanted to help other people to live a better life. And I was still kind of caught in that, like, part looking inward and part looking outward, like sort of idea of how to help people. But I knew I really wanted to help people. And I come up with my website, the Good Life Movement, and I was writing articles about that, and I guess now that I see things more clearly, some of those things were pointing maybe in the wrong direction, but they came from the right place. They wanted to help people. And then through the podcast with Adam, we came up with a podcast. It's called the New Flow Podcast, where we wanted to sort of share these understandings that had helped us, and within this podcast, like, Adam had spoken to me a lot. Like, we'd always be constantly having conversations and stuff like that. And Adam would share what he sort of, the changes and what he's feeling, and through the principles. And I was going, I definitely feel you, but I wasn't quite sure what the principles were. And then one day Adam had connected with Garrett through Garrett Kramer. And so I was like, okay, sweet. Well, I better, we're going to interview him for the podcast. And I was like, okay, well, I better bloody brush up and have a look into, so I know what to speak to this dude about. And so I started reading through his book, The Path of No Resistance. And like, just the understanding that the principles pointed to within his book, the Path of No Resistance, I was just like, oh, I get it. Like, I just felt it, and it described all the insights that I had that I didn't know where they'd come from. And it described that it's not, I can't pluck them out and make them happen. It's it comes from looking within, beyond the intellect, and it's not these rituals. It's not like meditation and all these types of things that, not saying that they're bad to do. Of course, they're good for you, but they're not what make you feel good. So like, just, I guess, stumbling across the principles in that way, like, it truly explained all the good things that had shifted within me, and then it helped me see all the misunderstandings that I'd got myself into by trying to pursue those, by trying to make them happen, and I guess trying to see more like enlightenment, I guess, trying to sort of force that to happen. And like Adam, like, it's something that's just unfolding every day, and the deeper I feel it and see it, like, I just I just view life differently, and it's I don't live with worry of the future, and all, like, I don't have all regrets from the past, like, and I just have a clearer understanding now of where our reality is coming from. And of course, there's times where I get caught, as all human beings, no matter how deep your understanding of the principles are. Like, I get caught in my own thinking sometimes, and I get a bit cluttered, and I guess cluttered thinking, but just the knowing beyond that that's all it is. It's just thought in the moment. And I just enjoy enjoy my career. Like, things might not be going like amazingly well in terms of achieving huge results outwardly, but like I truly enjoy every day that I go and I connect with people. And my relationship with my fiance Chelsea, like that, I've seen huge shift just in the understanding, like with her, and cool to see her sort of catching on and it developing there. And yeah, it's just like, and it's sort of, when I came up with the concept for the website, the Good Life Movement, that I really wanted to help people, it's almost like, that all was unfolding for me to come across the principles, because now I know how I truly want to help people, how I can truly point people in the right direction. So that's sort of, I guess, how I've come across it. So I've got this bloke here, he's pointing me in the right direction. But
yeah. Oh, lovely. And both of you in the way you're talking are reminding me of things that I often hear people talk about, that sense of no longer searching, coming and kind of knowing that there's something here, that whether or not you can articulate what it is, that there's something here that is the answer. And I certainly had that, when I first came across. I just I had been actively searching for many years, following my own ups and downs with drink and addiction in my 20s, and the other thing that struck me is that it's that spiritual quality as it develops. Like, we can spot it in other people. I mean, of course, it's present in everybody, whether they know it or not. But someone who has a kind of living relationship with that, is aware, an awareness of that. There is that, I think you put it, sort of that life force, Adam, that, just that light, it's always visible, it's that energy. It's lovely to be around. And I think it draws people to you, I'm sure. Yeah. And so say you a bit more about, you're both kind of sharing this with other people. And Adam, you spoke about coaching in the sports sense, in the rugby sense. Has it changed the way you do that, Joel?
Massively. Yes, it has. I think before, whenever I was coaching, it was very much based on telling people and putting information into them, and just at the moment that isn't making sense to me. I think the way I approach it, and the way that makes sense to me now, is just to even in rugby, coaching and sport, it's all about just connecting with the players. It's not about giving them any information. It's just about connecting. For me, it's about the relationships, and it can be quite difficult because all the coaching in sport at the moment is geared towards telling people what to do and measuring people and telling them what's wrong and what's right and what's bad and good. And for me, that just doesn't add up anymore. It's very much about, for me, pointing people within themselves, and then they can realize things, and to me that's where the power lies. That's where the insight and realization and true change and development lies. It's not in me telling them to do anything, or to how to tackle, like me, for instance. At the rugby pitch, they have their own way of doing it, and everyone's different. So that really has developed and changed, as I've started to see this understanding deeper.
And what kind of feedback have you had from those guys? I'm assuming it's guys.
Yeah. It's a very different approach to what people are used to. So, some people, it's hard to say. It's hard to say how people are responding. But what I would say is that I'm certainly enjoying it more myself. And yeah, I think it's gonna take time, before the whole sports thing starts moving in this direction more mainstream anyway. But yeah, it's hard to say. For me, it's just all about. I know that's where the power lies, and I've seen that, and I'd love for people to see that themselves and to experience some fantastic results as a collective, maybe as a collective team. But that's that's certainly looking into the future, I think, and we'll see where it goes.
Good. And is that an area that you're drawn to work in particular, or is it wider than that, or is it completely different from that?
Yeah, I think I'm certainly really interested in working in sport, because for me, I spent quite a long period of time out injured. I had to get 2 operations just within the last season of rugby. So I spent about 7 months off the pitch, and that was made a lot easier by seeing this. And also, one thing that's really changed for me is my love for doing what I do. That's really coming through me, and there's less thinking about turning up. I'm quite happy to just throw myself into a situation and see what happens. Whereas before, there might have been a lot of thinking and planning and searching for a feeling, and that was all very hard, and it's not required. So I'm seeing these benefits and the enjoyment and the love is really flowing through me at the moment for what I do. So I'd love to pass that on to other people that are playing sport. But for me, I think I'm really happy sharing this with anyone at the moment. Any chance I get to talk to someone with this, people that are happy to listen, more than happy. And we're actually doing a little bit of work together, which has been fantastic. Going into the businesses and sometimes sports teams, universities. It's been fantastic to get out there together and kind of share this as a couple, which has been I say as a couple, as a duo. It's been fantastic, and long may it continue.
Yeah. Well, you touched on a couple of things there. That when you spoke about that, just loving what you're doing. I mean, that's always a good sign for me if I'm working with someone, they start to talk about, that a sort of completely spontaneous kind of gratitude and joie de vivre, as opposed to trying to force a positive attitude. And my mentor Keith Blevins talks a lot about this inevitable evolution, that things are changing. You suddenly surprise yourself, or you just notice that you're showing up differently, and I think that's a wonderful sign when that happens, and it feels wonderful, to experience it. I think certainly, and also I think just that the power of collaboration. I've really found that a great thing since I first got into this, and there's so much more that you can do with another or several other people than on your own, and so I think it's really wonderful that you guys are doing that work together. And I know because I've heard you speak on other occasions about some of the stuff that you do, and I think also with prisoners, is that right as well? That's a group that you've spoken to in the past.
Was that you, Grayson?
I linked that with charity called the School of Hard Knocks. I had the opportunity to go in to prison here in Glasgow and speak with some of the inmates, and so it's just amazing. Like when you put it out there, just the reception, and when people see just your genuine passion for sharing, just a true understanding of what is within every single person. Like opportunities arise, and Adam and I were in today speaking with the director of like a huge company, and that just came about by us chatting, like, one of us chatting to a friend, and then the friend was explaining to one of their mates about what it is that we're doing, and he reached out and asked if we'd go speak. And yeah, so it's cool. And it's, yeah, like in the past I would have felt nervous going to speak to this director of a big company in his suit and in his flash office, and I would have been thinking, well, what have I got, what can I say to this bloke, but we just went in there and we knew, to be honest, we didn't even know what we were going to say. Like, we just knew we were going to speak the truth that came out of us. And it's funny, actually, Chelsea was saying last night that I was sleep talking, and she said, and I said, oh, what would I say? And you were saying, oh, all you were saying is, it's the truth. It's the truth.
Is that right? That's hilarious.
You're even dreaming the three principles.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. Listen, I'm conscious of our time. So you're also working with other people, and you've described that some of these like group things that you're doing, and I think you also mentioned your website, the Good Life Movement. Is it Good Life Movement?
The goodlifemovement.net.
.net, right? And
so that's mainly just like I enjoy writing, and I'm just trying to express some of I guess the way I see things, and can be difficult to articulate it into words because I'm no bloody Shakespeare, but
I love your blog. I think because I think you just have that authentic voice, and it's really, that I get, the truth packs a punch. It's the truth.
Well, I'm glad. That's a great compliment, because I truly enjoy your writing as well on your blog. That's just really, I just try to share some experiences and my understanding of it, and hope it can reach some people and point them in this direction.
So people can contact you through that, through your website. And Adam, did you say you've also?
Yeah, so I've
changed your website recently.
I recently kind of made my website public, which is called 3flowcoaching.com, and yeah, like that website's just a kind of base for people if they want to find out a little bit more about what I do. I'm not much of a writer, so most of my messages are a little bit shorter and compact. But yeah, it's if people want to go on and have a look at that, they can feel free, and you can reach out to me on there. My email address is on there, and yeah, just have a look.
I think that's a really good point as well that you made, though, but that we, that everybody expresses it differently, and being comfortable with that, just being who you are, and I think you're a great master of the tweet.
Yeah, kind of.
I enjoy you too.
Yeah. And obviously, I think you have a great kind of presence and energy in terms of speaking to a group as well. And that's not everybody's bag. Not everybody has that gift or is comfortable doing that. And so it's lovely that you guys do.
Well, thank you, Christian, and you too. We really enjoy being around you, and we've met up a few times now, and it's been fantastic too.
Yeah, me too. Well, listen, I'm kind of conscious we've gone a bit longer than we thought we might. I'm really grateful. I don't want to take up too much of your day. I know you're on a precious week off at the moment, so I'm sure you've got some fun things to do. But this has been fun for me, and I really, really appreciate you taking part. So thank you very much.
No, thank you, Christian. We're so happy to be involved, and it's so cool to just connect with people, just be able to talk and share the truth, and this understanding that truly is life-changing. And like I said in my sleep talk, like we just know that it's the truth, and it's within everyone, and it's there. We just want to point people in in the direction that we've sort of been pointed, that's truly impacted our lives for the better.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Thank you again. I'll just leave it there.